Stacking is when you aggro neutral creeps outside their spawn box at the minute mark. This makes a new camp spawn. More creeps, more gold, more XP. Sounds great, right? But there's a catch. The newly stacked creeps actually give less gold and XP than they normally would to whoever kills them. So, is it worth it to spend your time making fat stacks for your carry? Today, we're diving into a bunch of interesting stacking mechanics that most people don't know about. When you stack a neutral camp, the new creeps that spawn gain a special buff that marks who stacked them. So if you ever manage to steal an enemy stack, you can check that buff to see who did the hard work for you, and thank them accordingly. This buff is undispellable and lasts until the creep is killed. It has two effects. When an ally kills a stacked creep, the player who stacked it gets 30% of the gold and XP the killer received. This does not reduce the amount of gold or XP the killer gets, it's an extra bonus added on top. And this bonus is granted no matter where the stacker is on the map. The second effect is that any hero who kills a stacked creep gets 15% less gold and XP than usual. This applies to both allies and enemies. So stealing an enemy's stacked camp still gives you a reduced bounty. Here's an example. If you stacked your ancients 5 times for your carry, without the 15% reduction, they'd get 984 gold and 1884 XP. With the reduction, it's 859 gold and 1649 XP. You as the stacker get the bonus 30%, but this is based on what the carry actually received after the 15% reduction. So for that stack, you'd get 208 gold and 400 XP. For most neutral camps, they give different amounts of total gold and XP. For example, the large centaur camp gives more than the large wildwing camp. Ancient camps are different though. They all give the same amount of gold and XP, except for the new flooded ancient camps. They give slightly less gold and XP, for some reason. This might not sound too impactful, but when you're a support who can't easily find other ways to get gold and XP in the early game, this small bonus is great. Now what about if you stack a camp for yourself, then take it? In this case, there's no change to the amount of gold or XP the creeps give. You'll get the normal amount as if it wasn't stacked at all. And this gold even applies when your creeps kill a stack. So if you pull, then go to help your carry in the lane, and your lane creeps kill those stacked creeps, you'll hear that beautiful money sound filling up your pockets. But there's something really interesting about the bonus XP. As you know, you get 30% of the gold from your stacked creeps, no matter where you are on the map. But if you stay near the camp when it's killed, you'll get the normal XP that's shared between surrounding units and the 30% bonus on top of that. So you're getting a lot more XP than you normally would. A pretty nice way to catch up if you're behind. Now let's say you're going to make a stack and someone else goes to make one as well. Do both players get the stack bonus if they both aggro the camp? No, only the player who aggroed the camp first will get the bonus, as seen by the stack buff on the creeps. And this same rule applies even if the camp is stacked with a different unit like a dominated creep. Whoever controls that creep will get the bonus. Now what exactly can you use to stack a camp? Well, there's the obvious way of just hitting it, then running away. We also know that units can stack camps and give the stacking buff, crediting their owner, like a dominated creep. But what about other things like spells? There is the whole aspect of the Z-axis, which I go over in this video here. But the gist is that every camp has a spawn box with a certain height. Sometimes you can use a spell to bring creeps above that height, making the camp stack. The most popular example is probably Kunkka's Torrent, as it's visually very easy to follow. Torrent lifts the creeps up outside of their spawn box as the new minute is about to hit and a new camp spawns. There are also spells that have the forced movement mechanic, which is exactly what it sounds like. They forcefully change a unit's position. This includes things like Rubik's Telekinesis and Darkseer's Vacuum. If you use a spell like this, it'll stack the camp and give you the stacking credit. But that's mostly because these spells aggro the creeps. If you were smoked, then used a spell like this to stack the camp, the creeps wouldn't aggro you because you're smoked. So although the camp will still stack, the newly stacked creeps won't have the stacking buff on them. This could also include things like Drow's Silence or Radiance's Burn when you're invis, because again, the creeps aren't aggro to you since they can't see you. If you know of other ways to do this, let us know in the comments. If you think I missed anything important, let us all know in the comments. Big shout out to all the members on Patreon and YouTube as always. If you want even more educational content like this, check out my Patreon and YouTube memberships. There are a bunch of other awesome perks like replay reviews. Go check them out, link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I hope you learned something new with me.